Hello and welcome to this What Do You Want to Watch spoiler discussion of the latest film in the DC universe, Wonder Woman 1984, aka WW84. I'm actually hopefully joining me today, Dylan Blight.
Did they ever officially cancel the DC universe? Or was it just sort of like, it's continuing if we want it to?
I don't think it's cancelled. It's still going.
Okay.
I
wasn't sure.
It's a multiverse.
Yeah.
So, if they want to do something in some other setting, they just new world.
Yeah.
Done.
Fair enough.
Yeah, so Wonder Woman 1984, directed by Patty Jenkins, written, screenplay by Patty Jenkins and Geoff Johns, Dave Callaham, story by Patty Jenkins and Geoff Johns, based on Wonder Woman by William Moulton Marston, starring Gal Gadot, Chris Pine, Kristen Wiig, Pedro Pascal, Robin Wright, and Connie Nielsen. Let's see. Diana Pryce lives quietly among mortals in the vibrant, sleek 1980s, an era of excess, driven by the pursuit of having it all. Though she's come into her full powers, she maintains a low profile by curating ancient artifacts and only performing heroic acts incognito. But soon, Diana must have to muster all of her strength, wisdom, and courage as she finds herself squaring off against Maxwell Lord and Cheetah, a villain who possesses superhuman strength and agility. Dylan, what do you think of Wonder Woman 1984?
I think this was the perfect movie to end 2020 with, because nothing else could really add up this year than being excited for something and then it just turning out to be a giant flaming turd.
Wow. Okay.
That's how I feel about this movie.
That's how... Wow. I really wasn't expecting that reaction.
This is why sometimes I don't tweet because you don't know. Like, we get on here, we press record. What's Dylan going to say? What's he going to do? What's he going to feel like today? Nah, it was shit. DC fan? Nothing. Crap. Fucking.
Okay. Do you want to elaborate on your problems with the film?
I mean, I got a long list, so you tell me how you feel.
How I felt? I enjoyed it. I think it was long. And obviously the third act kind of was weird and crazy. I understand that is obviously I've been on Twitter since the movie came out. There's a lot of takes about certain problematic elements of the movie, which some I agree with, some I disagree with. But I think it's a nice film. I think it just came out at the wrong time, really. I think the theme of the film and the final act of the film doesn't work in 2020, I don't think. And I think
giving up your wishes?
Yeah, all these people coming together and working together. That's an unrealistic proposition in 2020, I think people aren't going to like it. A certain amount of people aren't going to like it because it is not your standard superhero movie. There is a long stretch of this film where no violence or action takes place. It's almost like a mystery to a certain degree. To a certain part, like maybe an hour of the film, I feel like. But I enjoyed it. I liked all the characters. I like Kristen Wiig. I like Pedro Pascal. I think Chris Pine was really interesting. I thought it was kind of a clever way to bring him back. I think people would enjoy this story if it wasn't in Wonder Woman. That the idea of these wishes and monkey paws and that kind of stuff, that concept outside of the Wonder Woman story, I feel like people would probably be a little bit more on board with. But I think people had expectations of what this would be, and obviously it didn't meet them. But yeah, so Dylan, what? Let's break down all your problems.
I mean, let's just start with the big one. This movie has none of the magic of the first movie, in my opinion. It has the chemistry between Gal Gadot and Chris Pine, but other than that, it lacks all of the wonder, magic, and general hope. It's weird that movie, Wonder Woman, the first one, set during World War One, during a very, they're throwing fucking gas on warfields, and they somewhat show the harshness of that war as much as they could within the rating of that movie. Of course, there's the scene everyone likes to bring up, the horse dying on the side of the road and all that sort of stuff. So it's a rather bleak movie, but that movie is driven by hope throughout all of it, which, I kind of like how that movie feels very comic booky in that it's, it's this big drastic event, but there's always hope and blah, 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 blah. Everything will come out better. This movie is just bleak, boring nonsense. I was bored about halfway through it. I did not care at all for Maxwell Lord Pedro Pascal's having a ball. Good for him. Love that for him. I enjoyed Pedro Pascal. Game of Thrones, good shit. Narco, good shit. Mandalorian, good shit. He's having a ball here. Love that for him. Character, arsehole. Boring, don't care for him. I understand. They're like, oh, you should feel for him because he has a kid. You know who I feel sorry for? That kid. Do you know who I don't feel sorry for? That father. You know who else I don't feel sorry for? The mother. The only person I care for in this movie is the kid. I'm like, I hope someone comes and adopts him and makes his life better. Because even by the end of the movie, where he's like, oh, hugging him, he's like, things will be better. I'm like, no, it won't. This guy's going to be gambling on the weekend because he still won't fucking help.
He's the error of his ways, Dylan. He almost lost him, and he realized what he could have lost.
Didn't buy it.
I tell you, that last scene between the son and the kid, that isn't pulled straight out. About. If that isn't pulled out and used in Mandalorian season 3, I'm going to be very upset.
Because I saw you tweet that before. As soon as that scene happened, I'm like, okay, this is the one Ash was talking about. Other than that, let's continue down the road here. So Christian Wiig. Oh, let me put it this way. I think I was enjoying. I said I think because the movie was so long, I forgot if I was enjoying it once I got past it. But I think I was enjoying the first 45 minutes or whatever it was, where it was just Diana meeting Christian Wiig's character, and she's having a ball. She's kind of goofy, kind of lonely, kind of sad, kind of wants help, kind of meeting best friends, kind of maybe will there be a romance between her and Gal Gadot? Let's hope there is. Maybe this movie's suddenly a rom-com. None of that's working for me. Then they ruin Christian Wiig because they're like, oh, let's turn her into fucking cheat. Look, I knew that coming. I've read Wonder Woman comics. I know who the cheater is. But also, sometimes in the comics, cheater and Wonder Woman, they get along. This movie, don't get along, do they? No.
That's not Kristen Wiig's fault.
No.
The Wish's fault.
She's fine. She's great at the start. And then once she turns into brooding cheater character or whatever, then I'm like, well, you're just not very fun anymore. Like, you're kind of one-note villain at this stage because there's no real nuance to that character past a certain point. It is literally, I was sad and people didn't like me as much as I wanted, so now I'm going to kill people. And somewhere along the road...
Oh, she doesn't kill people.
Well,
for no reason.
I'm pretty sure she kills that guy in the middle of the road.
For no reason.
To be fair, he should go to jail.
He was a sexual assaulter,
I
didn't feel bad about that.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't feel too bad, but I mean, same note, she just kind of becomes this one-note villain. To some degree, the world treads on me, so I should be able to do what I want. That's what incels reckon as well. So, I mean, there's a degree of connection there. The best part of this movie is everything between Gal Gadot and Chris Pine just wandering around. That's the movie. Here's what I wanted out of this movie. Here's my favorite parts. Gal Gadot, Christian Wiig just talking. Will they? Won't they? That's great. Gal Gadot and Chris Pine, they will. That's great stuff.
They do.
Gal Gadot and they do. Chris Pine talking about the wonders of the 21st century, showing them around. Chris Pine just generally reacting to things and being shocked by fucking escalators and stuff. That was all fantastic. Loved all of that.
Nice reversal of the first film.
Yeah, exactly. And even them stealing that jet plane, the kind of overlong, but I accept it, sequence of teaching her how to fly because it pays off later in the movie, I guess. All of that, great. Once they get to Egypt, wherever the fuck they go, right? It was Egypt, wasn't it? Or somewhere
it was
around
Egypt, but technically Bilalian land, which is a DC country.
Okay. Once I get to there, that's kind of where the movie goes out. Now, so all the stuff you were hinting at before, didn't know any of that until I got out of the cinema and I was doing my post-screening Twitter scroll / Google scroll or whatever research to see whatever. You know, I don't like to go into movies with my
opinions.
My opinions swayed. So, you know, I save it until after. So all of that, never thought about it when I was watching it, obviously, because white dude lives in Tasmania. So of course, that was not on my radar. So, and I would also still say that I definitely do not feel like I'm educated enough on any of those points to touch on them. But it's definitely interesting to read from people who do have reasons to be angry about the portrayal of certain things in this movie. So, ethnic stuff. Or just
obviously, the use of Gal Gadot, well-known Israeli supporter, pretty much saving the equivalent of Palestinians.
Yeah. There's lots of interesting points there. People tying in some comments that she's had in the past, tying into her her time in the the IDF or whatever. Yeah. All that sort. If you want to get into that, you can. I suggest you should because it's interesting. But again, I definitely do not feel educated enough to have any sort of opinion on that. But other than that, like by the time you get towards, this is one of those movies where you get to the end, right? And you get to the final fight sequence between Wonder Woman and Cheetah. And it just feels so flat. It's not exciting. It feels like it should have been a moment. The fight is not at all shot very well. It's not even a CGI or anything. It's just, there's not anything exciting about this fight. Like the most exciting moment of the whole fight is when she flies in with the golden armor for the first time. You're like, oh, fuck yeah. I've seen it in the trailer, but we'll forget I saw it in the trailer and be like, yeah, fuck yeah. We'll pretend this is the first time I've seen it and go, yeah, like, fuck yeah. But then after that, the rest of that, I'm like, is this really the end of the movie? Like, there's just no pop to it. I can't help. You really can't help but compare this to the first movie. I kind of want to rewatch it to feel like, because in a lot of ways, I'm like, am I feeling all these things in my head and I'm just making them up? Like, because of course you always think about that classic crossing no man's land scene, and that's an emotional scene. I remember like tearing up in the cinema the first time she did that. It was such a badass fucking moment, like when she crosses no man's land. And this movie has no moment like that, no moment even close to it. It doesn't have, apart from her sort of comedic back and forth with Chris Pine, which is quite good, it is missing, what the fuck is her name from the first? I'll find it now, but you know the woman who shows her around all the time?
Yeah.
And they have a photo of her in this movie. I assumed it was her when she was older. That's who I assumed that photo was of. Lucy Davis, right? Who plays Eto in the first film. And they have a photo in her house at the start with an older woman, and I'm presuming that's supposed to be Eto. Yeah. And I don't know who the fuck else it was supposed to be.
It was like 50 years later.
Yeah, so I would assume that's her. There's no one like her in this movie, adding like some proper, generally funny comedy throughout to it. There's no, even the villain in the first one made a lot. I don't know. This movie just feels like it had everything. I had all the dominoes lined up after such a successful first film, and everything was on paper. Looks like it should work. And I mean, you watch the trailers and you feel like everything should work. But when you watch the movie, it just kind of feels like it's going through the motions. It doesn't feel like it has any of the heart and soul that the first movie had, which is a really hard thing to pinpoint, if you know what I'm saying. Like it's hard to pinpoint exactly what causes a film to lack something like that you kind of just feel within your gut. But like you get halfway through this movie and you're just like, what are we doing? Like, what's the point? What am I supposed to care about? Who do I care about? I came into this movie caring about these characters more than I feel about them now. And now I'm kind of just bored with them. It's kind of like one of those things of like if someone's to come ask you like, would you like I walk out of Wonder Woman. They're like, hey, would you like a Wonder Woman 2? I was like, yes, please. They show it to me and I go, no, thanks, don't want that. You know, like, I don't, like.
Jeez.
I honestly feel like, I don't think I'm hyperbolic here because I feel like I've watched enough of these stupid fucking superhero movies at this stage. I feel like this is one of the worst superhero movies, to be honest. I feel like it is like bottom of the rank quality. It just is completely heartless, goes nowhere. Even the acting is kind of all over the place. I think Gal Gadot is way better in the first movie. I actually think she's overplaying. I guess a lot of like, I don't know, she's playing more into, I don't know, just something about delivery in this movie that just, again, lacks that heart, I guess. Or maybe it is in the first movie, the fact that she's kind of
because she's got none left.
Naive.
She's been pining after Steve for these last 50 years, alone.
Yeah, and you know what? I hate that storyline anyway. Like this whole storyline of this one woman being in love with one guy for 75 years, can't get over him. Fuck off. Like I hate to say it, but fucking go have a one night stand or something. You know what I mean? Like just he tells her a million times, like, get a new. I was going to say something really rude, but get a new boyfriend. No,
there's a million guys out there better than me. Yeah. He's
like, there's a million guys. I mean, it's the whole concept. I was like, come on, like, what sort of
just how Amazonians are built?
What sort of female empowerment movie is like? Yes, you will fall in love, and then if he dies, you'll be
a spinster.
You'll be a slave to his death. He's fucking for the rest of your life. You'll never love anyone again. It's just, look, that's how I feel. It's a heartless movie where the villain is having a great time filming it, but I'm just like, you fucking shit. I don't care about you. You're kind of boring.
I enjoyed his man slowly being corrupted by greed and power.
He was already corrupted by greed. It's not slow. It was corrupted by greed at the start of the movie. He was already corrupted by greed.
He was just desperate for power at the start of the film. Okay? He was desperate to prove himself. And then, he got the thing that he thought he wanted. And, can't trust these wish-making things.
You got that opening 10-minute, 15-minute scene with young Wonder Woman.
That went on way too long.
Just
to set up
Jesus
the one lesson
Christ.
you learn 2 hours later.
Yeah. I was like, oh my fucking God.
Which really doesn't make sense about truths and lies.
No. Unless the audience you're playing to is fucking monkeys and you really need to hammer it home to them, did that scene need to be that long? No. No, it didn't. It really didn't.
They realized they had a set payment for Connie Nielsen and Robin Wright, so I wanted to get their money's worth. That's probably what actually happened.
It's probably. They're like, they're top billed cast. They're in the opening scene. Good job. Yep. Great.
I feel like the other thing holding this film back is obviously its ties to the DCEU. Like, Wonder Woman has to be a secret. Like, she can't be like, nobody knows about her till when Batman vs Superman.
But yeah.
Which is bizarre. I feel like they were obviously fighting with one hand behind their back to a certain degree, trying to fit everything in. I would be interested. This would have been a much more interesting story if it had been told present day, I think.
Possibly. If I want to bring up the whole like ties to DCU thing, I feel here's my thoughts on ties to DCU. Zack Snyder was heavily involved with everything DC Universe. And in another world where he was still as heavily involved with everything, would you have had, like, with him godfathering everything, love it or hate it, but do you not think we would have just had a more concise story? You know what I mean? Like, at least one that was making sense to him and his fans. To people that enjoyed watching his movies, of which I do,
because,
so.
I feel like this is what Patty Jenkins wanted to, the story she wanted to tell.
But I mean,
even,
like, what
she's come out recently and said that the first film, this big CGI finish to that film, Warner Brothers
That
made
was
her
Zack
do that.
Snyder.
Yeah.
Yes.
She wanted to do something a bit more cerebral or, hopeful or something.
Yes,
more similar to this film, which this film made no sense. Why was there all that wind everywhere?
I don't know. I hated that. I hate that whole end sequence where I'm like, okay, so my dude's in front of a television set. I got this, no problem. Now he jumps onto a platform and everyone, like, what is that platform he's even on?
My hands are in the air because I don't know.
Yeah, that's when I kind of got lost. Because I was like, at first, you're making heaps of sense. The dude's in front of a TV set. This satellite takes over all the TVs in the world. Whatever. I can buy that. I can get into this. We're in a movie where there's Greek gods that come to life and fucking a woman's turned into a cheetah that was once on fucking Saturday Night Live. I got this, Listen,
she wanted to be an apex predator.
Yeah, I wanted. And they didn't bother turning her into a loba. But they have a friend, he's in front of TV, he's doing the thing, he's talking to other people. I'm like, cool. Now the wind starts up and I'm like, okay, so I guess the wind starts up because there's so many truth bombs going off in this room that they're causing an earthquake. You know what I'm saying? When there's too many truth bombs, they cause a lot of wind power. But then she knocks the TV over and he goes and stands in the middle of the room on something. And then he keeps talking and the people around the world keep hearing it. I was like, okay, maybe he's still got a microphone on. But then she wraps her lasso around his foot and then she whispers some shit and then that gets like transferred and it transfers it around the world as like a giant golden image because reasons. Man, I gotta be honest. By the end of this movie, my eyes had rolled so far back that I was in row E and they were in row fucking Z. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Fucking hell. No, I don't rate this one. That's what I'm trying to say, I guess.
Other thing that was my issue was the way she moved. Has she always moved like that through these other
like
films?
the whole floating, like running man effect or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, I think that's new, right? I don't recall that being a
thing. Yeah,
a thing.
Like sliding around and kind of floating weirdly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what else though? This movie starts. You know the whole opening sequence. Not her
the
child,
mole
like
sequence.
The mole sequence, right? Mole sequence happens, and it's rather corny. But the way it's shot, the music, the general reactions from civilians or whatever, like everything, it kind of seems like it's a
80s
comic book movie from the 80s in that whole sequence. And I go, right, I see what we're doing. In that whole sequence, in my mind, I've gone, Patty Jenkins has decided Wonder Woman never got the 80s phase of superhero comics. Like Wonder Woman had to go straight to being in the dark serious period of 2000s. Like I'm going to deliver us the equivalent of if I got to make Wonder Woman back when I was making fucking Richard Donner Superman. And that's what I was thinking in my head in that opening sequence. And I went, you know what, fuck it, I'm down for it. If we're going to make we're going to make a pretend 80s movie. But then this is also another big problem in the movie. It sets this tone where it tricks you and goes, we're making an 80s movie. But then it's like, but we're not. Like it quickly changes and goes, no, that was just for the opening scene. Like, because if you want to compare the way that scene's shot and the way people talk and react and everything to other parts of the movie, it doesn't even seem like it's from the same fucking movie. Like it's like it was purposely shot and delivered in a certain way to elicit those feelings, and then go, no, we're doing something else now. It was just for a joke. It was just for memes. Just for memes.
Yeah. Okay. So I don't know. Yeah, where do you go from here? Do you expect a Wonder Woman 3?
I don't know. I'm really excited for the Zack Snyder cut, though. Let me put that out there. I don't care if people are like, well, your opinion means nothing now. How dare you be excited for Justice League Snyder cut?
Opinion is pretty standard, so I wouldn't be too concerned.
Look, all I know is I like Wonder Woman 1. I like Batman v Superman. Ultimate Cut. So I'm excited to see Wonder Woman again in Justice League, #the Snyder Cut. If they want to do a Wonder Woman 3, I don't think Patty Jenkins should return at this stage because I feel like she's doing another movie with Gal Gadot, that fucking Cleopatra thing. I feel like at some stage, like, let someone fresh in. I think if they do a third one, it would have to be set during current day or else it would just be silly. I feel like if they're going to do, maybe the DC Universe just needs to do this year would have been great to just pause everything. Are we doing the DCEU? Can we figure our shit out? Can we get like a plan going?
Well, I mean, they've got Flash. They've got Black Adam coming. Maybe we've got a few other projects in the works. Obviously, they've got the Batman, but that's not going to be part of the DCU.
Yeah, exactly. It's very confusing at the moment. I don't know.
Who knows? All right. Well, if you want to find out more when we find out about it, be sure to subscribe to What Do You Want to Watch where you're listening to this. Or go to explosionnetwork.com to find all our news review podcasts. Everything you'll find over there. If you want to talk to us about the film, let us know what you thought of Wonder Woman. You can find us over at Twitter by going to explosionnetwork.com/Twitter. Thank you very much for listening, and until next time, keep watching stuff, I guess. What do you wish for?
The Lasso of Truth also doesn't really have a proper length.
Yeah, it's got no length.
Just magically is as short or as long.
See, when she threw during the Cairo sequence and she let go of it, I was like, that's weird. She ran out of rope, but no, it turns out she couldn't hold on anymore.
She couldn't hold on to it anymore because she lost her powers.
How do you feel about the mid-credit sequence? It was a nice touch.
Like, there was this family sitting next to me, and the mum and dad started cheering because they knew who it was, obviously. And then the kids didn't know who it was. So then for the next 5 minutes throughout the credits, I just heard this mum and dad explaining to their children why that was a cool moment. And then, of course, the kids, no complaint to them because they were like fucking 12 or 13, were like basically going, cool story, mum and dad. Like, why the fuck do I care? And I was like, I'm kind of on their side. Why the fuck should they care? Like,
it's a nice cameo.
It was a cool cameo, but in the scheme of things,
it's not like end credits.
It's a cool cameo for anyone that's like either a hardcore enough fan to know who Linda Carter is, or you're old enough to know who Linda Carter is. But for anyone who doesn't know who Linda Carter is or doesn't care to, the end credit scene was kind of disappointing, I feel, because most people were like, this is the first DC movie in such a long time, end credit sequence teased something, and it teased nothing, so...